So the AEW Chicago residency has started, and man, do I love these smaller, more quirky buildings. Of course, the dream is for All Elite Wrestling to get back to the bigger venues, but until then, we may as well come up with something unique and something different, and something that makes your eyes go, well, I'm having a good time. Shout out to all the people that are mad at an inanimate object on the internet today. People are going, man, shake harder, boy, at a building. Gotta say, I am glad I'm not those people. Hangman Adam Page was also out to kick off this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, and he still has his old theme back. Who knows why that makes you feel good in your tootsie toes? Also, hello, my friends. Welcome to Ups and Downs, essentially the home of goofy wrestling for life. Because here, we love professional wrestling, and we love all wrestling companies, but they can still do some things, and we will call them out for it, but also remember that wrestling is the most important of the least important things. We take the finger of power, give your own finger a kiss. If you did it, you're weird. Let's up those down. You gotta give props as well to the storyline that AEW told with its World Championship, because when Hangman came out here and showed it off like he was revealing himself, this place went wild. So all you gotta do sometimes is commit, and you will get the desired noise. Let us also quickly jump into this whole reaction to the fact that Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley were competing on this Dynamite, even though at Saturday night they competed in a Texas death match. Well, I'm gonna give you my big headline as always. I don't care. I also don't understand it because people are like, oh, well, they should be showing the effects of the Texas death match. They were. Hangman was limping the entire time, and Jon Moxley has turned into like a terrified child who's looking around thinking he's gonna see a ghost or Darby Allin. I mean, nobody got stretchered out of the pay-per-view, and in fact, the only person that did, or the only two people that did, was Samoa Joe and Will Ospreay, and they weren't on this show, and maybe, just maybe, we've taken our two top stars and we're trying to present them as tough guys. Well, they look pretty tough here to me, so I'm sorry. I do not understand that as a criticism. They just walked out skipping through a field. They'd be like, that's stupid. But they weren't. They wore the war scars on their face. I do not have a problem with it at all. Also, do you know what would have happened if they weren't on this show? The same people would be yelling, oh my gosh, it's one of the biggest Dynamites of the year, and you didn't have two of your biggest stars. So once again, you can't actually win, so you may as well just enjoy the product. Fans also chanted, you deserve it at Page, but he was like, no, you deserve it. And usually when a babyface does that, we would all cringe. But this Hangman Adam Page is such a real character, to use silly words. Oh my gosh, every single thing he does say makes you cry deep down in your stomach or something like that. I should say tum-tum. And then he went on to put about, listen, this AEW World Championship means something to me, but it means something to all of us together because you wanted some brand new wrestling and we started a revolution and you support us saw the beginning. If you all of a sudden got up and ran through a wall, I understand. Page is also so grateful for the support that he has had, and he understands he's just walked into a 9-month war and finally walked away with the prize. Some people weren't as lucky when he called out Orange Cassidy, he called out Jay White, he called out Samoa Joe and his operations, he called out Bryan Danielson. He basically went through every single person and Adam Copeland that had had their trials and tribulations due to the Death Riders. I thought that was a really nice touch. It made it feel like a long-term story. Page also personally thanked Will Ospreay for everything he had done when he stared off into the distance and pondered whether he should do what he knew he would have to do when he brought up Swerve Strickland and kind of said, well, I don't know whether he did it for AEW or whether he did it for me, but thank you. And this Hangman man, he felt totally conflicted. It's also just such an awesome story, and it was even better when once again our millennial cowboy got right into the camera and said, listen, Jon Moxley, I know you think I'm a weak man, but I got a wife who loves me, I got a child who loves me, I've got a family, and that is somebody that the fans can respect, and either way, they shall meet again later, and he is gonna kick his fucking ass because he's the world champion. Once again, I was like, yeah, man, you get him, cowboy. You ride in your horse and kick him in the dick. So he just comes across like such a cool cowboy. Although when you say it like that, it doesn't sound like a cool person at all. And I just love the fact that in all the promotions right now, we have these top tier baby faces that the fans are in love with, and I'm in love with Hangman Adam Page as well. I'm also super intrigued to see where we were going to go, because we didn't throw Hangman Adam Page under the bus during this episode of Dynamite. In fact, he leveled up further, so he's going to be in his Pokemon final stage before long. I'm giving it an up. It did exactly what it had to do. We then got our big recap video for All In, when Matthew and Nicholas Jackson arrived at the building. This is so good. Because they've lost their EVP status, they had to take an Uber, which makes no sense. They must still have money. Nobody stole their cash. But it's almost as if they've gone, well, fine. If AEW isn't going to pay for our vehicle anymore, we shall make sure we struggle. It also went right into Carl Fletcher versus Mascara Dorada, so let's just put a 1 on the randomizer. Listen, I don't mind random matches in AEW or any wrestling federation. I'm not saying that. This one was still totally random. Of course, it was super duper good though, and this Carl Fletcher just continues to get better and better. And we know Master Dorada is a bunch of fun, and it kind of felt like to me, Tony Khan was going, all right, okay, well, maybe we did get some new viewers thanks to All In, so make sure we get Hangman and Page out there, and if that ropes the same individuals in, then maybe we should go straight into a crazy match where they can go, wow, these guys are flippy dippy doo-dah brilliant. Exactly what we did. We then got some missed dives and some hit dives, 2025s. I put a 1 on that counter when all of a sudden Carl Fletcher was hitting crazy sit-out power bombs, and then he just wailed on this guy. He just punched him and he kicked him and he booted him to the point I was like, is Dorada going to win this? Because right now he's being massacred. Instead, Dorada came back with his awesome shooting star press and a code red for a 1-2-ooh. And then he fought off an avalanche brainbuster and he hit a 450. And damn it, the masked man got another 1-2-ooh. I think that actually just annoyed Fletcher though, because he lobbed this man into T in the turnbuckle. He smacked him in the head once again when he gave him his falling drop brainbuster. He got the 1-2-3. When he crawled over to the camera like a dog, and I think he said, Dustin Rhodes, my new life's mission is to essentially end you. And of course, he wants to win the TNT title. I would do that match All Out. I would ensure Carl Fletcher does win, because why the flub not, man? Once again, all the best wishes to Adam Cole. I hope he's doing okay. But in terms of dealing with some last-minute random booking and now getting back to it, I thought this worked, especially because now Carl has to climb the ladder again. That's nice. It's like a sport. Reddy Paquette then found the Young Bucks. She was just trolling these guys. And I really enjoyed this because essentially a bunch of other people also walked in and they trolled the Young Bucks too. As it turns out, everybody hated the way they ran the company. I mean, we had Marina Shafir looking at them like she was going to behead them. And even Ricochet and his non-bald brothers were like, you guys suck. Because they saw them trying to get into their locker room as some guy was crossing out EVPs and just writing Matt and Nick Jackson. Now, I have a couple of questions. One, why would you do it halfway through the show and not before the program began? And two, they lost their EVP ship on Saturday. Why has it taken 5 days to do this? This is my favorite stuff about wrestling though. Never let it go, because there's 4 words that sum it up. Goofy wrestling for life. Eventually Don Callis popped in and of course he saw an opportunity here. He's like, man, it is so unfortunate. You are being treated like jobbers, but maybe I can help with that. And Matt and Nick were like, listen, we don't like you and we're never going to join your family for real, but we could use some friends right now. So a new group has been born. We also need to point out that Don Callis actually said, now that Kenny Omega is dead, Okada and I need to move forward. That's what he said. Kenny Omega is dead. No, the commentators and nobody else has addressed this. So I suppose that Kenny Omega is dead. We were then backstage with the Hurt Syndicate as MVP, once again setting the message out there. They want some people to step up for these tag team titles. When MJF took over and he was like, man, Hangman Adam Page, I am so happy you won the World Championship because I hate you too, my core. And essentially, I'm coming after you, and I'm not even going to use my magic contract I won in the Casino Gauntlet. I'm going to beat you fair and square, and this is a get out of jail free card or break in case of emergency. I think he also said something like, I am the embodiment of your depression. That's the most flubbed up thing anybody has ever said. But I'm very excited about this, especially because as of right now, MJF just is a part of the Hurt Syndicate. This gets me very intrigued, and I shall sit here and wait. When somebody somewhere shouted party match, which means, of course, we have to check in with our resident grifter and see what he thinks about it.
Can somebody tell me why AEW think it's appropriate to use the term party match? Party. Does this shit not matter to anybody else? Is it just me? Why am I the only one who seems to care about the sanctity of professional wrestling? It's supposed to be serious.
What a surprise. He's really mad. It's like he's always really mad for effect. But it was Brody King Bandito and Jet Speed taking on the Young Bucks and the Doc Gallis family, and Hechicero, who had snuck his way in there as well. And what do you even want me to tell you, man? They went left, they went right, they went up, they went down. They just went totally crazy. And listen, I know some people don't like the term party match. I do, because who doesn't want to have a party? You just need to let your eyes enjoy this. And as a man who does wrestle, I'm going to say this all the time, their timing and their movement and their execution is second to none. Sometimes I don't know how they do it. One thing we do have to point out is that when Matt and Nick did have their entrance, not only did they have no pyro, not only did their music get cut off, but their video magically changed and now somebody has written their name as if it's been done by a child. This also makes no sense, Because surely the video has already been paid for. The music you can justify, maybe it's production costs, they want to get rid of those. But either way, I don't care it's 2 + 2 = potato. Those two guys just get it. It got them a bunch of heat as all the fans went, ha ha ha, you're losers. I totally loved it. Otherwise, we had Brody King and Josh Alexander just going big men, slapping man meat, and Bandito got there and he was flying around before the Yucks were doing double team moves. And Jets people were like, we're a tag team and we'll do double moves as well. It was just an absolute crazy fest of joy. But actually, no, at one point, Matthew and Nicholas were like, no, we can't possibly get involved because they did feel too sad. Then they did get involved and they did a couple of dives. Bam, dive counter. Nicholas then decides to do another dive, so bam, put another one on the counter when his poor Kevin Knight got pummeled and beaten up for a long old while. And the way he got out of this was also genius. The Young Bucks gonna hit their EVP trigger, which of course they usually shout when they were like, oh wait, I don't think we can do that anymore. We haven't come up with a new name. Kevin escaped. He got the hack tag to Mike Bailey. This place went wild. He depleted his stamina pretty quickly, so Brody King got in there. He was just crushing people. And I tell you, this guy gets more over by the week when he did a dive. Now, of course, we have to put a 1 on the dive counter, but the way Brody does this, if you're the dude on the side of the ring, you must be like, I'm scared. I'm terrified right now. Up here he comes. I'm dead. Bandito also got his Revolution fly, but the Bucks broke that up as the 1-2. As everybody got in the ring and just started throwing fisticuffs. When actually it was the Young Bucks that got a super kick party. When poor Bandito got hit with about 7,622 maneuvers before it was Etchy Sarah. I was like, ha, I'm going to apply the choke. Because Bandito couldn't breathe and he hadn't had his hours, he fell asleep. Now, on the one hand, I get why we did this, but two, I think we need to keep an eye on it because a lot of people have been choked out in All Elite Wrestling recently, and it's starting to feel like they're going, well, listen, if you get choked out, you don't really lose, much like a lot of companies use the surprise roll-up. But look, it's early days, it's only just entered my brain, so I shall become a detective. I'm actually quite surprised the Hills did win, but of course, given who did get the pin here over the other one, looks like Bandito's gonna have to defend his Ring of Honor Championship. I'm giving it an up. It was just so much fun. When we made sure we tied right into our AEW All-In pay-per-view, because out came Adam Copeland to a massive reaction. And the first thing he said was, listen, I know a lot of people think I saved Christian Cage at the weekend. I did not. That guy's an asshole. Bless this man as well, because he even said, I understand why Nick Wayne, Kip Sabian, and Mother Wayne turned on Cage, because who wouldn't do it? And I was like, yeah, I still can't believe they got booed at the pay-per-view. Christian Cage has been a manipulative asshole for like 2 years. Eventually, somebody was gonna punch him in the face. Copeland still made sure to send out the message, though. I really hope Christian can pull his head out of his ass. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we can go on a title run again. But for now, let's talk about FTR, the people I was going after when we were down in Texas. Because let me tell you a story. 5 years ago when I was coming back for the ring, it was Cash and Dax that helped me. And even though we were in different companies, we would fantasy book ourselves and say, man, imagine we could be the Trios champion. Eventually, they all ended up in AEW, and almost instantly, Cash and Dax were like, man, we don't want to be going after the Trios championships. We want to go after the tag team belts. When they did all fall out, and what did these guys do? They tried to kill him. Adam has pondered this, given they just did take away 4 months of his career, and well, he didn't much like it. This is when Stokely Hathaway walked out without FTR, and this guy is an absolute dream. Because he was like, listen to me, Adam Copeland, nobody likes you, and in fact, we'd rather you weren't around. And let me tell you this, after you came to the ring with your weapon at All In, All Elite Wrestling received 3 anonymous complaints, and from now on, if you do interfere with any FTR matches, you shall be absolutely destroyed. Now you have to take note here, he said 3 emails. I wonder who that could be. He also made it clear that Cash and Dax aren't scared, they just want to win these tag team championships. But Adam was like, all right, yeah, I get it. If I interfere in those matches, I'm going to lose my job. But you didn't say anything about attacking you when the useless wrestling security guards that Stoke had brought to the ring just ran away. So don't you tell me that wrestling security guards aren't useless. They never do their job. Stokely Hathaway sold this so well as well. He kind of stood there with his back to Edge, Adam Copeland going, all right, you know what, I can take him. He got speared, he took a good old bump. Adam Copeland stands tall. This is really good though, because of course you know where it's going. Sometimes the obvious answer is the best in pro wrestling. It will be Christian Cage who eventually gets involved in an FTR match, and he'll probably save Adam Copeland. And then at some event, hopefully like in a good 3-4 months, because you want to make sure you take your time with this, it will be, excuse my language, Edge and Christian taking on FTR. And I need that, I want that. I thought it was a very good segment, especially how to reintroduce Adam Copeland to proceedings. I'm giving it an up. I mean, it's something to write home about, and you could probably skip it, But if it works, it works. AEW then just allowed Mark Briscoe to go off after this, and I tell you, especially what he's done over the last month or so, I want him to be the world champion one day. And here he was talking about All In, saying my 2 goals were to win that match and whoop MJ's ass, and I wasn't able to do either of them, mostly because Maxwell kept running away from me, which is true. But this ain't over, Friedman. In fact, it's just beginning. Given the kind of stuff that Maxwell has said recently too, he is now gonna have to pay for his sins. And the way he said that, I was like, oh man, I think Mark Briscoe's about to get mad. I'm giving it an up. I can sum this up very nicely. I am basically in love with Marcus Briscoe. When we did get a 4-way in order to win some money, and some people complained about this as well, which you're perfectly allowed to do, by the way, but I do think there has to be a caveat that now, if you're still acting surprised, well, the problem is with you. It's like walking into a burger bar and being shocked they don't have pizza. AEW does this all of the time. We now know they are going to do money matches, so if you don't like it, just turn it off, but don't go, where did this come from? Well, it came from Tony Khan's brain around about 2 years ago, and he's continued to do it. Also, if you are having a sports presentation, that's essentially what all people in the fight game do. But also, it was Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, Tekla, and Queen Amanata. And these last 2, I get the fear when they're in the ring together, because their MO is just, let's try to kill each other. What it really did achieve in my brain, though, was that I actually think if AEW does want to pull the trigger on a women's tag team title division or a tag team title scene, they totally can, and you could even have a team of Chris and Willow taking on a team of Queen Amanata and Tekla. Now, given how this match ends, I don't think that latter duo is going to take off, but I would love it if more and more of these women could be featured on the TV, and if a way to do that is to introduce a championship, then that's what we should do. Now, admittedly, all wrestling promotions at the moment have too many titles, so if we could get rid of one, that would be good. But it all gets a little bit wingly-wangly there. I just kind of think the potential is there now, so if you want to do it, I think it would be pretty good. Tekla then instantly killed the Queen with a boot, which is not the name of my new EP. And this Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, they did keep going after each other. So whatever the story is meant to be, I hope we pull the trigger on it quick. But I suppose it is the finish we need to talk about the most because, yeah, Willow and Chris annoyed each other so much, they started fighting to the back, when all of a sudden, Julia Hart and Sky Blue came out. They distracted the referee, so boom, one goes on the dick board, when all of a sudden, they looked at Queen Amanata and said, come here. Julia Hart spat mist in her face, and then Tekla basically murdered her with a move, and she got the pin. Now these 3 are together, and I can only imagine they're going to be called Spooky Incorporated. There was also most definitely a dive during this match, so boom, put a 1 on the dive counter. But this is another threesome that intrigues me, and again, they could go after some fictional tag team belts as well, if that is in their future. And I suppose Tekla does walk around like a spider, so that is kind of scary. Can't remember when Sky Blue went all magical, but I may have missed that. But she is now. She can be, I don't know, Widow Blue. It's the stupidest thing I've ever said. Where did it even come from? But look, good match, good end game, and it kind of ties into what I said about Tekla when she did debut. I wanted to hold fire because I didn't know much about her, and I just knew after a few weeks I'd be like, oh man, this Tekla, she's so good. That's exactly what happened, and she got a win here. Good for her. Up. AEW then made use of this venue because they had Toni Storm in one of the balconies, meaning she was looking down on the crowd, and these fans, man, they totally lost their mind. I am then just gonna quote Toni, because I don't want anyone to sort of clip this and act like I said these words, because she said, I am the slut you can't rebut, I'm the bitch you want to itch, the skank you want to spank, this trollop you can't wallop, this tramp is still the champ. I suppose you do have a microphone and you got to say something. She then thanked Mercedes Moné for making history at All In, but as she told her before, she was hungry and she was going to eat Mercedes. She tasted delicious, but also the buffet is still open, so if she wants a round 2, they can do a round 2. So I'm sure we'll do that eventually. When she also told us that Luther is injured and he needs reattachment surgery. I think she was talking about his penis. Don't get mad at me. Storm then insinuated it will be her tits that show her the future when Billy Stark and Athena appeared on the big screen, and Athena was all like, oh yeah, by the way, I've got a magical contract, so maybe I'll use it tonight, maybe I'll use it in Canada, maybe I'll use it in London, but essentially, eventually, I'm gonna use it. She also took umbrage with the fact that Toni said the AEW Women's Championship is the big belt in the division, because it's not. She thinks it's her Ring of Honor title, when I actually think she threatened her with murder. That's what I think she said. A lot of people at AEW do this. Crime counter. Toni then did more rhymes essentially to accept all this, and it is going to be Toni Storm versus Billy Starks next week on Dynamite. So this is actually quite a good program before Mercedes Moné does come back. And I wonder if something is about to go down when Mercedes does run in and interrupts this match, because actually she has beef with Athena, she has beef with Toni Storm, and who doesn't want to see that three-way? I do. I know multi-person matches are running wild in 2025, but if you've got 3 stars who are good, you may as well do it. This was a very, very simple segment, but I am giving it an up. Just seeing how over Toni Storm and Athena are, you gotta love it. The Patriarchy then spoke to us and talked about what they had done to Christian Cage, and essentially said, we don't want to be a patriarchy anymore, we want to be a matriarchy, meaning Mother Wayne is now in charge. Kip Sabian told us a lot of this. When Mother Wayne did take over, and, basically told us that Christian Cage has trouble getting an erection. Again, don't get mad at me. I just have to tell you what happens. Don't shoot the messenger. She spoke about his penis, but she did it in like secret language. And the big crutch actually ties into what Nick Wayne was talking about a month or so ago. Christian Cage kept ruining the plan because he was so obsessed with the World Championship, and also, fake father of mine, you always came after me, but I've got a title. I'm only 20 years old. I am one of the youngest champions in the world, whereas you kept on failing. So that's why we did what we had to do and we cut you down. You'll find it a little bit weird. They are kind of being presented as heels, especially with what Adam Copeland said. I mean, essentially, they turned on a tyrant. But it was good, and I'm glad we got a follow-up from that angle. And surely, at All Out, or whatever show you want to do it, we have to get Nick Wayne and Christian Cage done. Kind of feels like we've been waiting for that since the medieval times. Don Callis then walked out because he was going to give the big intro to Okada. Well, we do have to give it a down because, listen, I love it when you kind of do get a new version of the character and you change their theme music. I think it kind of identifies them as a new breed. But this song was not good. It was nowhere near as good as OG one. So yeah, you do have to give that a down. It's not a big deal, it just did not hit the same. Okada then beat Rafael Quintero in around about 8 seconds, but this was all about the post-match angle, because Don Callis and Okada were like, do you know who we don't enjoy right now? That's Swerve Strickland, and Okada even said, yeah, you screwed over my friends the Young Bucks, and I think you're a massive bitch. Now clearly Swerve was backstage walking around saying, I tell you, if anybody calls me a bitch tonight, I'm gonna hit play on my music and go right out there. And that's what he did. He got right in Okada's face and said, I'm not the bitch, you're the bitch. So 1, somebody is lying to us. And 2, can you believe it, we just saw a bitch off. Now this of course means we're going to do Okada versus Swerve for the Unify title. And yes sir, thank you please. But I do have one nerd point to make. Now as we already talked about, Will Ospreay has been written off TV given that he did a stretcher job. But surely Okada had to say, Swerve Strickland and William Ospreay, you dicked over my friends. Even though Will wasn't going to come out, we could make it clear it's because he's at home recovering, and Swerve didn't say anything either. This one just perplexed me. I thought it was the perfect time in a ring during a promo for someone to go, poor Will got murdered by the Death Riders, but I'll take you out, Okada. But all of a sudden, it was like he was a ghost. I don't know what annoyed me, man. I got serious problems. So I'm going to give that one a down, even though it doesn't matter, because ultimately, even though they didn't have a lot of time here, they have Aura Man, which is also the worst thing I've ever said, but Swerve versus Okada, I'm always going to give it an up. I mean, that could be a main event on any given night. When we got to our main event, I suppose we've upgraded Jon Moxley, or no, we've downgraded him, because he sold this entire match not only with his injuries, but also like he was ashamed. Like, how the hell am I going to be able to cope without that world title? It's a bit like, John, you did keep it locked up in a briefcase for 9 months. Like, if you had done that to anybody else, well, to be fair, bro, you'd be in jail. But it was Hangman and Page, Mark Briscoe and Powerhouse Hobbs taking on the Death Riders. And man, the Death Riders lost. I love this so much. 2 weeks ago, they were riding high, and now they can't get anything done. I think they may be about to have a commit. The hot tag for Hangman as well was absolutely amazing, because even though this crowd had seen him like 3 times, they were still desperate to go, man, we love you so much. And he was flying around the place, did his moonsault to the outside to put a 1 on the dive counter, but flubbed me sideways as the Cowboy have momentum right now. We got to ride it all the way to the saloon. Mark also did a dive to put a 1 on the counter. This is when Moxie saw Hangman going for the buckshot. I was like, no, you're not doing it again. So not only did he rake his eyes, I think he bit him, which is when it really kicked off, because Wheeler Yuta hit his running knee, so Mark Briscoe came off the top with the froggy bow. Claudio then dodged the buckshot lariat and said, haha, Paige, I'm going to hit you with a neutralizer, when the Cowboy hit the most devastating move. In all our sports and attempts at prize rod, we got the 1, 2, 3, but the execution and speed of this, and also the way Hangman sold it afterwards, like that was a bit beat up, so I had to do what I can. That is how you use that move. I liked it a lot. Of course, Moxie and friends jumped these guys afterwards when the lights dimmed and we zoomed up to the rafters, and there was Darby Allin. Once again, Jonathan sold this like he'd seen a ghost. The best part of this is Sting must have sat down with his fake son and said, listen, if you really want to get in somebody's head, you sit up in the rafters for around about 1 year, and the group down there who are running wild, they'll 100% get scared. Then you have a match at Starrcade 1997 and Hulk Hogan will ruin it. But he is a super good dad, and eventually Hangman Adam Page took out Jon Moxley, who of course was distracted, which meant the show ended with the good guy staring down the bad guy. So yes, I used my same phrase. We didn't cut their legs off, they are still your heroes. We can still support them. I thought this was very well done. And maybe the post-Dynamite 2 All-In didn't have any, oh my gosh, I can't believe it moments. But I think what we did do is solidify all the changes we did make on Saturday night and told you we got some things coming. Why don't you tune in every week? Up. I do have to throw the dick counter on this one though, because at one point, Marina Shafir was just grabbing people and wrestling them on the top rope, while of course the Death Riders caused distraction, and that allowed Jon Moxley to hit DDTs on the outside. It's got to be included. I seem to enjoy this episode of Dynamite more than some people, or maybe I've just run into the negative Nancy's, but I am going to give it an up, just to reiterate, because people don't listen. No, it didn't shoot out of a cannon, like maybe some of the Raw after WrestleManias did. Instead, it was more just sort of calm, good, solid storytelling. Sometimes that's fine by me. That's why the show gets an up. Now, of course, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Drop me a comment below and let me know what you thought about Dynamite. Hit the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for Monday Night Raw. Otherwise, have a terrific Thursday, my friends. The world keeps on turning. See you then.